How's it going, laddies and laddettes? Today, we have the almighty stalk-off between the one and onlys, Ghostface and Myers. I think it's pretty obvious why I paired the two together. They both stalk, so let's get into the epic fight. Starting with Junior Stalk Ghostface, he has a movement speed of 4.6 meters per second, is considered average height, and has a terror radius of 32 meters. Ghostface's power, Night Shroud, allows Ghostface to crouch and enter a stalk mode, losing his terror radius and moving at 3.6 meters per second. While in this mode, he's able to stalk survivors and expose them for 45 seconds. Although the survivor is a Chad and gets into a staring contest with Ghostface, they can snap him out of his power if they stare at him for more than 1.5 seconds, where he won't be able to then enter Night Shroud for another 30 seconds. Overall, it is a very strong power if used correctly, and if you're a master of being a sneaky boy, so I'll be giving it a 7 out of 10. The only thing laying it down is if his mechanics are working fully as intended, which they don't sometimes, he can be very easy to snap out of his power. Ghostface's strength is an easy thing to judge. He obviously isn't the strongest killer, which is emphasized by his killing methods as he stalks and plans on his attacks, not leaving any room for mistakes. So because of his small build and no visible key strength areas, I'll be giving him a 4 out of 10. I still don't believe he's super weak, but just because of his size, I can't give him too high obviously. His agility is looking up though, having very good agility in my opinion, because to be a super duper sneaky boy, you would have to be quite agile and fast in order to stay hidden out of sight. So for agility, I'll be giving him an 8 out of 10. Not higher simply because of his choice of clothing that he wears, that, it would 100% hold him down at least a little bit. I mean, who wears something that has cloth flaps just flailing around like an inflatable tube man? Like, stupid. Our last category for Ghostface is his lore. Jed Olsen, Ghostface's alias name, worked at Roseville as an editor at a major newspaper. While there, he was asked to interview the affected families in the Roseville murders, which he did happily. Unknown to them that he was actually the one to commit all the murders himself. He stalked the victims for days on end, learning everything he needed to about them in order to make the best decisions when he went for the kill. As panic spot in Roseville, Ghostface produced a tape of himself in his uniform as he committed yet another murder, writing an article about the video he produced. Weeks later, he disappeared, leaving a note on his work desk saying, "I hope you liked my stories. I enjoy bringing them to life. Don't worry, I'm not done." Happy with himself returning to his home in Florida, admiring the work he's done on his wall, he felt a cool breeze which then turned into a freezing fog. Hearing the crunch of a leaf and a woman scream, Ghostface smiled in anticipation. Now, if you've seen my other Killer vs. Killers, you know what I like to hear in a killer when it comes to the law. It's pretty simple really, they have to be a good killer. Easy. And I've got one guess what Mr. Stalky here is. He's a good killer. I think this is an easy 9 out of 10 for law. Not 10 out of 10 because most of his victims would have been completely helpless, making it unknown what a more threatening target would do. So, easy decision. Now that we've finished with Baby Stalker, we can move on to Data Stalker, Myers. Myers works quite different than other killers in the game, having 3 tiers that he operates under. In Tier 1, he has a movement speed of 4.2 meters per second. Stays tall for the whole match though, so he's just tall. It'd be kind of worrying if he stretched into different sizes throughout the match. And he has a terror radius of 6 meters when in Tier 1. The way he progresses through to the next tier is with his power Evil Within. Evil Within allows Myers to stalk survivors, which with enough stalks will progress him in his tiers. Once he reaches Tier 2, he becomes a relatively average killer in the game, having a movement speed of 4.6 meters per second, and a terror radius of 16 meters, which makes sneaking nice and easy, and a very slight increase to vaulting. Oh, and I should also mention that while in Tier 1, he has a slight decrease to base action performances like vaulting and his lunge, but Myers is normally out of his Tier 1 within like the first 20 seconds of every match, however, so Tier 1 isn't very useful. Now, this is when his power gets interesting. If enough stalking is done, he can enter Tier 3. When in Tier 3, his terror radius is increased to 32 meters on average killer, and his opponents are exposed for 60 seconds. Michael also being able to perform actions faster, like his vaulting and lunges. I feel like I talked a lot about his stats then, but it is needed for a thorough investigation into the killer's power. Overall, I'll be giving Michael a 7 out of 10 for stats though. He has a very strong power when in Tier 3, but rarely will reach that Tier 3 stage often, meaning that he spends the majority of his time in Tier 2, which he is just slightly better than an average killer. But we really want a killer whose power is having an effect all games, so still not a bad score, but obviously you can't give it anything too high. Michael's strength is an easy one for me to decide, 10 out of 10 instantly. Just look at the man, he's literally a beast. You watch his Mori and tell me this man shouldn't enter some kind of strength tournament, like Strong Boy. He picks the survivors up by one hand with ease, not moving a single muscle as he holds them perfectly in place as they struggle. I don't know anyone on the earth that with that kind of strength, so super easy decision there. Agility, however, I'm not too sure what I should give. I don't think he would score low, but at the same time, I don't think it'd be high either. He's a stalky boy, which involves having a high level of agility, obviously, but he's also massive and honestly quite slow in his movements, although he's not slow. Does that make sense? I don't know. Either way, I'll just be giving him a 7 out of 10, because I do think he would have good agility, just not the best. Now, our final category of the fight, and Soccer Man Myers, is his lore. Now, Michael's lore is small as. I mean, it's probably a fifth of the size of a normal killer's lore, so you may think, he's probably going to get a low score then. Well, you're wrong. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10 right now, and that's because of a few key things said in the lore. His killings and him being the pure form of evil. The small paragraph of the lore depicts Michael as pure evil with no remorse at killing, and yes, the lore does state that he kills people, and this is simply all I need in a killer's lore to give them a higher score. Sorry, Mrs. Vomit Queen. So an 8 out of 10 is what he'll be getting. Nothing higher though, because it doesn't depict how he got those kills, so maybe they weren't very good, maybe they were sloppy, we'll never know. Now that we've looked at each killer, we can tally up the scores and determine our winner for the Ghostface vs Myers battle. Ghostface getting a total score of 29 out of 40 and Myers 32 out of 40. Meaning Data Stalky Myers will make it to the next round, leaving Ghostface photoless. No photo bomb for him. This means that Demogorgon and Oni will be battling out next Killer vs Killer, but until then, have a wonderful and fulfilling life, and bye bye.